In this video, we are going to talk about how you can make the driver pay if the driver is paid on mile. So to give the example, I have entered 2 trips for this driver and I have named the driver as driver on mile. First, we'll check the profile of this driver. So I'll search it by the driver name, that's driver on mile. If I edit this profile, as you can see, I have mentioned that I would like to pay this driver separate rates for loaded and empty miles. I have mentioned his alone rate. I have mentioned the rate when he goes in a team. Also, this driver has his own corporation, so I clicked pay HST option. This percentage of HST is always based on the province of the corporation. So if the corporation is Ontario based, a company will be paying 13% HST. If it's based in BC or Alberta, then it will be paid 5% tax. So I have checked this pay HST option and now we'll go back to the main screen. So these 2 trips I have entered for this driver. So to make the pay, first we have to select the time period. You can be paying your driver monthly, semi-monthly, bi-weekly or weekly. In this case, I'm taking the example of semi-monthly payroll and I have selected this time period in from and to date. So the first step is to select from and to dates. So you have to select your time period. So I'm making the pay for 16 to 31st May and that's what I have selected here. And then I'm going to scroll down a bit and then expand this option, expense entry. Under this option, we have to go to trip posting and settlement. So on this screen, as you can see on left top side, we have the option if you want to make the pay for driver or owner operator. In this case, we are making the pay for driver, so I'll leave this selected and then select the driver name. As soon as you select the driver name, you will see all the trips that this driver has done in this time period on this screen. So we have XP56 and XP57 trip. After selecting the trips, we have to uncheck previous entries option so that any entries that belong to previous time or any other time other than this doesn't show up with this payroll. Only the entries that are belonging to time period should show up with this payroll. Also, before making the pay of driver, you have to make sure that you have entered all the expenses that belongs to your truck. That includes any repair done, fuel, toll, insurance, truck payment, all those kind of expenses should be entered before you make the driver pay. This will help you create your profit loss statements. Okay, so these 2 trips are selected and the pickup and delivery locations from these 2 trips are showing over here. So you can match this with driver's trip sheet as well. If you see any location that's not at its site place, as you can see, it's sorted based on date. So we have first stop in Ontario, second stop in California, third stop in Arizona, and fourth stop back in Ontario. If you want to move any location, suppose I want this location to be at number 2, I can just simply write number 2 and click enter. System will move it to number 2. This is how you can shuffle the locations. If you want to add some new location, I'll just change it back. Suppose before going to Yuma, Arizona, this driver went somewhere else as well. So I'll select, suppose it went to Los Angeles. So we'll write the name of the state and then we'll write the name of the city and then move it to the stop number. So it should be at stop number 3 after California. So stop number 3, enter. So this is how you can even add a new location in between your locations. And then after setting the route, we have to click on get miles. Then system will calculate the miles from one location to other. So in this case, I have specified that I want to pay separate rate for loaded and empty miles. And I have specified that in his profile, in the driver profile. So that rate is showing up here, 60 cents for loaded miles, 50 cents for empty miles. So these are loaded miles and then from this location to this, these are empty miles. So I will uncheck the loaded option in front of it. So that system applies 50 cent per mile rate to these miles. I'll also uncheck for this as well because these are also empty miles. So you have the option to pay separate rate for loaded and empty miles. After setting this, Then you can enter any extra pick and drop or any kind of waiting time charges. If you have to pay to that your driver, you can mention that here. For example, if you have to pay waiting time, you'll select that from the list, and then you'll enter the total amount, click on add, click on HST if you have to pay to HST for this expense. If it's just a reimbursement, for example, if your driver paid for scales or tolls and you're just reimbursing the money, then you don't have to click on HST. And then in notes you can mention the trip number. If I'm paying waiting time, I can mention is for which trip number. Make sure you click on add, because if you don't click on add, this amount will be deducted from the driver pay. So this is how you can add any kind of extra charges to your driver. And then once everything is done, click on this option on the left top side that says post in GL. So this is how you can post your driver pay. And the next step is to print the driver pay statement, and for that we'll exit this window, scroll down, expand this option driver pay statement. Under this you have driver pay statement set number 2, so we'll select this option, select your driver, and then click on print. So this is how your driver pay statement will look like, because in this case I'm paying 2 separate rates to the driver. That's why it's showing me over here that loaded miles are paid at 60 cent and empty miles that are 700, they are paid at 50 cent per mile. And then I added waiting time as well, that's mentioned here, $60 for waiting time. That's adding to the total gross. And then we have GST HST $445.72, and then the total amount that you have to pay to this driver. You can print this as well. If you want to import it as Excel, PDF, Word, you can do that as well. As you can see, his corporation name is also showing up here. If you enter GST HST number of the corporation in the profile, then it will also show up on the driver pay statement. The next step will be to pay this driver, and to pay it we go to day-to-day entry, payment to vendor. So we'll select it based on the corporation name, and then we'll select the bank, enter the check number, select the payment date, when are you paying this driver, what date, and then check the pay invoice option and print it. This is how you can print the check. If you are using QuickBook format check, you can put the check in printer and give the print command from here. It will be printed on the check. After doing this, if we go back to the driver pay statement option and try to print the driver pay statement again, it will also show us the check number written on the statement. As you can see, 123 check number issued on 7th of June for this amount, and the balance is 0 now. So this is how you can check if your driver is paid or not by giving the driver pay statement. So this was all about the driver's pay who's paid on mile. Thank you. If you have any questions regarding this, you can always call our office line 905-624-5959 extension 1. Thank you.